Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of my Become Unstoppable series. Hello, so those that don't know me, I'm Julie Fitzpatrick and I'm the founder of Milliside Therapy and Coaching, and I support business owners and professionals to really unlock their true potential so that they can become unstoppable and live their life with purpose and passion. And I teach them how to use the power of their imagination for them rather than against them. So, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my next guest. Here she comes. Seamless, darling. Seamless. Well done. Hey.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so glad the life works and I accepted the invitation. Yay.
Always works. It always works. Anyway, my lovely, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so my name's Crystal Johns and I am an entrepreneur and small business owner of Crystal's Healing Lights, and that is my company, really. We sell crystal products, so crystal bottle lamps and crystal cards that will be coming out very soon. And I'm very right-brained, so I have a lot of business ideas, I'm afraid. And I've written a couple of short stories, so we'll see what happens with that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I look forward to finding out more about that in a moment.
Yeah.
However, before we get into your story of how you are unstoppable, my darling, I need to ask you my very famous question. So, are you ready?
Yes.
So, Crystal, what does being unstoppable mean to you?
Well, unstoppable means sort of breaking boundaries, moving past obstacles and challenges, and as hard as the challenge may be, once you overcome it, you feel unstoppable. At least that's how I feel, and I feel like in the last 2 years there's certainly been a lot of challenges.
Oh,
so,
bless you.
you know, it's just how you sort of, the universe will throw you curveballs, but it's just about how you manage it, and actually when you come through it you learn a lot about yourself. So I think I am, to quote, unstoppable in a way.
Oh. No, not in a way, in the right way. And I love that, and that is really true. It is, whether we like it or not, we're all going to come up against situations in life.
Yeah.
And it's about how we overcome them, what we learn from them, and what good parts we take from them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not always necessarily feel like it's a good thing at the time, but
yeah,
over time we realise that a lot of the time things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that was when I was unemployed in the middle of the pandemic. At the time, it was like, oh my God, how could this happen? Blah, 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 blah. But it was the best thing that could have happened to me and to all the people that I support. Because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have gone down the journey I've gone down, and I wouldn't be unstoppable, and I wouldn't have helped many of my clients to become unstoppable.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I wouldn't be here either without you.
No, this is true. We would never have met, would we?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So actually, we met through big business events, didn't we? We were on one of a couple of training programs that we were on, and it's all about being around like-minded people, business owners. And actually, on the back of that, we had a discussion, and I said, "You said, can I come on?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." But obviously, I had to find out whether he was unstoppable first, didn't I? Because, as you know, I only have unstoppable guests on here.
I feel very honoured. I feel very lucky to be here. So yeah, I had to tell you my backstory, really.
You do, yes. So yeah, exactly. So do you want to tell us why? Oh, actually, because it's not an obvious question to everybody else.
Yeah.
Have you always done crystals and healing, or is this something that you've kind of come into more recently?
Okay, so I don't want to go too like sometimes I kind of lose the point of the story. But in short, I
I'll pick you up if you go a bit off tune, shall I?
Yeah, please do, please do. I know I have a habit of going around the houses. So, but obviously my name is Crystal, and when I was younger, you know, being at school and the playground, people would just like take the mickey, crystal ball, crystal maze. Crystal maze was all the rage when I was small as well, you know. So I'd sort of shy away from that, and I was a really shy child actually. So every time someone would say, oh, crystals or whatever, I would just kind of be like, oh, you know. But yeah, in short, what happened was I was working as a nurse, still am a nurse, a children's allergy nurse. I left my full-time position, and basically I was working towards, I was engaged at the time. I was working towards marriage and a house and children and stuff like that. And it was just sort of after the pandemic. And I think everyone was struggling. It was a really hard time. And we had to go to ITU not once, but twice, which was, you know, I served in a national health crisis. So I was really honoured the first time. The second time was quite hard and difficult. But you know, and everyone, sadly, a lot of people had passed, and I sort of said to my partner at the time, you know, what are we waiting for? Let's go and get married and have babies. And I think the focus in my work life was quite hard, so I sort of tried to shift the focus in my romantic relationship and really pushed on that a little bit too strongly, actually, in hindsight. But you know, things are hard.
We learn.
Anyway, I had a reading done, a psychic reading of July 21. It sort of said all this fantastic, amazing stuff that sounded like a fairy tale, you know. And he said, I don't know what you're doing, but you're going to leave your current job, you're going to do something else, and you're going to be raking it in. So
raking it, darling, raking it
in. I was like, this does not sound like me. I don't know who this person is. I thought, whoever this person is, they sound like a bad ass. I was like, I want to be this person. Anyway, sadly, me and my ex, it didn't work out, and that's fine. I'm good with it now. But anyway, I had many readings done after that, and one of them actually said that you will turn a hobby into a money-making idea. So I thought, well, what's the hobby? And my friend at work was like, your name is Crystal. You should do something with healing crystals. Obviously, after my breakup, there was a lot of self-healing. So, you know, it was sort of like a big wake-up call for me to kind of go to therapy, get stuff sorted in the past, and, you know, put myself on this path of healing. And when my friend said healing crystals, I went to the crystal shop and I thought, oh, this is fascinating. There's so many different crystals for so many different things. And I found the whole thing really interesting. And actually, funny enough, when I was making wedding decor for our centerpieces, it was going to be the bottles with the fairy lights in. And then when my friend said at work, Sabrina, her name is, just if you happen to be watching today, she said you should do something with healing crystals. So then I thought, oh, let me sketch it out and see how it would work. And then I sort of brought the two ideas together, and after that it was like, bam, Crystal's Healing Lights is born. And yeah, if I hadn't have, well, it's quite a long story that's brought me on here, but if I hadn't taken the opportunity to sort of go full in on my business, I wouldn't have known how creative I am. So I'm really glad that it was like a now or never moment for me to kind of do it. And ever since then, I've been learning about crystals, interviewing people that work with crystals. There's been a lot of sort of learning to do with crystals and crystal healing. So it's quite interesting. I find it really amazing. I think that nurse part of me really likes learning about new information. So yeah. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm sort of...
You ended up doing it.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to say to you, and on behalf of everyone really during that pandemic time. Thank you to you and
Oh,
all the people in NHS for getting us through that. And it's quite sad now that it's almost kind of forgotten in that sense, isn't it? And
no.
it's, you're all feeling, well, not all, but a lot of you are feeling unloved again. And yeah, but I think it's important to really say that, because you all had to put yourselves in that job wholeheartedly, leaving your families. I mean, I remember seeing stories on the telly where they were staying at the hope, you know, staying away from their
Yeah,
families because they couldn't risk going back and giving it to them, and
yeah,
you giving it, you know, and it was horrendous. And I don't want to harp on it because I think it's
yeah,
traumatic enough for a lot of people, but I just wanted to say thank you, because I think that's important. And also, thank you for all the continual work that you guys do. And I know it's kind of underfunded, isn't it? It's under resourced, and
yeah,
it's really, really stressful. And hence why you're not in it as much as
yeah,
you was back then.
yeah.
But let's just go back a little bit then. We'll talk a little bit in the current and your ideas in the future in a while. But I just want
Of
to
course.
just do a little bit of this, going a little bit deeper and finding out, you know, I mean, only talk about what you feel comfortable talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
But do you want to go into a little bit more detail about how you were feeling around about, you know, that time, and what really spurred you on to become unstoppable? Because I think that's what people are really interested in, isn't it? What sort of things did you have to endure, if you like, to
Oh,
actually come out the other side?
oh, the challenges, Julie. Okay. So yeah, like I said, it was round about the pandemic time. So I was going to work, doing the shifts. It's really hard actually. You know, I know I'm a nurse and I have been in life and death situations, but with children's nursing, you do see it, but not as much, perhaps like in adult
Mm.
nursing. Having to step out of that was the first thing, I suppose. I look back and think, oh yeah, that's the first time I had to step out of my comfort zone and go from being a peds nurse to an adult ITU. That was a
Mm.
huge change, you know. um and but it did teach me a lot. It taught me a lot about my own resilience, actually, and you know, the sort of like, I don't want to say get up and go, but you just had to keep going and going and going and get up and
Mm.
go and just, you know, provide care to the best of your ability. It was really hard, and you know, us supporting each other as a team. I remember me being so concerned with some of my team members at that point, because everyone was going through a hard time, trying to support them, and it was quite helpful in that way because I was focused on them and not on my own mental
Mm.
health, which
Yeah.
was, if we're talking about mental health, it was hard, you know. It was
Mm.
really difficult. I remember being at points, actually, oh, it's starting to get me a bit teary, sorry, but a
That's all
bit
right.
um emotional, because I would sort of cry for no reason and not know why, you
Mm.
know. And it was hard when you actually made friends with some of the patients, and then, you know, the next day they weren't there anymore, or
Mm.
they were put into a coma, and yeah,
Yeah.
and then
It's been horrendous.
you go and you stupidly go and ask the receptionist what happened to them, and they're like, oh, they're deceased, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, why did I ask, you know.
Mm.
But you know, at the end of the day, I think I feel proud to have served in a national health crisis, and it taught me a lot about who I am as a person, what I can kind of, I guess, you know, just trying to rise to the challenge, right?
Mm.
And keep on and keep going with that. In terms of your question being unstoppable, there have been quite a few landmark moments here, but the National Health Service was one. And then, you know, like I said, I briefly mentioned my partner at the time, and it made sense to sort of kind of get married and push forward in that. But I realised really I was putting the focus from my work life into my relationship, and that's maybe where it didn't go so well, and push forward with that. But when we sort of felt that, you know, actually ultimately the relationship wasn't right and that didn't work out, having to deal with the aftermath of everything, having to tell people we weren't engaged anymore and there was no wedding, and having to deal with the money aspect of it, and finding a new place. And the other challenge was still being split up, living together, which was quite difficult, and then also going to therapy in the evening and then coming back and then going to work and then coming back. I was doing that for almost like a month or two, and that was really quite hard and difficult. But you know, I sort of got to a place where I moved out, I found a new place, and that was really good. And I kept going to the therapy sessions with my therapist for like 6 months. And she got to a point where she was like, I think you're pretty good now, Crystal. We can have a break. And I'm like, oh no, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, I don't know. I just need to hold on. And another test was then getting invited to one of my friends' weddings. So I thought, I'm not so sure if I can go after this trauma.
What was going on for you though when you were thinking that you couldn't go or you didn't want to go? What kind of feelings and emotions were you going through?
It was pretty traumatizing, I won't lie to you. It was things like, if I would go past a wedding shop where they have bridal gowns in the window, like I couldn't even see it. Like it was that horrendous. I just wanted to, you know, they say your brain goes into protection mode, right? I just wanted to block it out. So that was quite hard. It took me a good 6 months to be able to look at a bridal store and to not have those feelings, which is quite hilarious now because, you know, weddings is a part of my, business sort of thing. So it is quite funny now looking back on it. But it was quite traumatizing. And in terms of going to my friend's wedding, I was a bit like, I've just, you know, dealt with the whole thing. I don't know if I'm strong enough. I don't know if I'm emotionally strong enough. I want to. And the sort of person I am, my friends and my family will know I say yes to many things. And, you know, I'm very much a yes person. But I thought, I don't know if I'm brave enough. And my sister was like, no, we can do it. We can do it. We'll go. It's like, okay, cool. We'll go. And it was really fun. It was like a sort of like a Hindu wedding, learning all about like the culture and the temple. I found it very interesting. We did a half day. It was on an Easter Monday, so you know we did half and half. But I was like, okay, that was good.
I got past that one. Yeah. I can now walk past the wedding shop.
Yeah. I didn't cry, you know. My sister's like, you did really well. I was like, okay, good. Oh, thank you. I still have it, you know.
Yeah, so you basically proved that you could do something and you sort of push through it. And it is hard, isn't it, when you're around something that you didn't have and you wanted and all of that. Even though now, as you said earlier, you're glad it wouldn't have worked. So it was a blessing in disguise, but at that time you don't know that, do you? And this is what we were saying at the beginning, wasn't it, about sometimes things happen for a reason, and you wasn't destined to marry that guy, was you? And thank goodness, because you realised blah 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 blah. So there you've kind of already got a loss of your partner. You got a loss of a career that you kind of loved, but it wasn't the same anymore. So it's almost like you probably had PTSD or something over the whole thing, isn't it? Because it's like having to go to that every single day. And what's interesting, and this is when I work a lot with my clients, it's our body is basically our subconscious mind. So we're holding all our feelings and emotions in our body. So when we're reacting to something, it may not be anything to do with what's going on right now. It could be something that happened in the past or even in our childhood, because your body remembers it and it holds it in your body, doesn't it? And this is why we have to acknowledge, and I must admit, it's only in my recent journey now that I've kind of getting it, because I think we all talk about it being mind, body and soul, and we're all connected, and you're like, yeah, whatever. But actually, it is so connected, it is untrue, isn't it? And that's how many of us suffer from physical conditions, because it's where we've got trauma in our body that we've never released.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I can full on confirm that, because where I am in my crystal business now is I've recently done a interview actually with a lady called Michelle. She's really good. She's a crystal healing practitioner, aura healing as well. I learned a few things in this interview, but she did a crystal massage, and it was a bit like, I fully believe in crystals and all of that sort of stuff, but it's like now I'm even more so, like, because I felt it. She put crystals all around me, was doing her thing with the hands, you know, over the body and all of this, and it felt like my hips were trying to jolt off this massage bed. But apparently that's where your body holds on to, like, the past traumas. I was like, oh my goodness, like, no way. And it makes so much sense. It's like everything, I have to keep on remembering that the universe is working for me and not against me. But I really felt like, understand this, I really felt like at the time where I was getting, you know, the engagement didn't work out, and I was like, I'm never going to be married, no one's going to marry me, and stuff like that. That I was holding on to all this trauma. I thought I worked on myself, and but I think I had to come full cycle in this healing journey, which has brought me to my business, to understand where my, perhaps, I don't want to say toxic traits, just not, you know, a few bad traits have come from, because I couldn't really answer those questions when I was being asked, you know, why do you behave like this, or why do you do this? Not that I'm an awful person to be with, I'm not. I'm even better now. I've worked on myself, just saying. Just have to put that out there, you know. But I'm so grateful that I had all of that stuff has been highlighted to me, so that I can sort of add it up and see where it's come from and work on myself. Because I'm a big believer of self-improvement, therapy, and just releasing those negative, like the negative vibes, negative energy. As hippie as all that sounds, it's so true. Because I think we do, you know, if you're in a work environment which isn't so good, and I don't know who put the heart in.
That wasn't me. No, that was one of our guests.
I don't know. If we are in a work environment or something, surrounded by people that aren't so supportive, shall we say, then, you know, that vibe and that energy does rub off on you, and then you get it, you feel it, it's in the vibe, it's in your chest.
Absolutely, you know? Like, yeah. And that is the thing, isn't it? I mean, obviously, like, I know what you're saying, and we won't maybe highlight it as much for the other people, but I know what you're talking about. But it's all about being around the right type of people. Now, when we're in a job, it is difficult, because you can't help who you're in around, can you? Right? And it is, you're right, it's easy to, because you pick up on other people's energy, don't you? And if there's a negative energy, even if you don't really want to, in the end you just almost like get sort of sucked into it, unless you're aware of it, and then you can put on your protective bubble, can't you, and go, no, I'm not going to let this vibrate through me. But that's really, really hard, and you really have to be aware of that. And I wouldn't have been aware of that in my previous 35 years in the corporate world. Trust me, I hung around with a lot of people that I didn't want to hang around with, and I can remember getting caught up in so many like negative things, and before you know it, you're like, oh my god, I haven't stopped moaning. And that, it's exhausting, moaning all the time, isn't it?
Exhausting.
And then you come home and then you just
Yeah.
carry on with the moaning.
Yeah.
And I like,
Yeah.
oh my God, if I could watch, well, I wouldn't want to, but if I had to watch myself back, watching how I might have behaved in certain situations, it wouldn't be pretty.
Do you really feel like, you know, when you're doing that sort of thing, it's sort of like you're seeing yourself from that point of view? And I think back to the like, I can't naturally but just sort of remember that, yeah, that's right, Kate Cunity, having positive people around you have a great impact.
Exactly.
Love that.
Exactly. And that's why I love our business groups, our big business groups, because you are around like-minded people. We might all have different careers and different ideas and different values, but we're all, you know, got the same aim, haven't we? That we want to be successful. So if you want to be successful, you need to hang around successful people, right?
100%.
In addition to that, I've got another group called the Rise and Shine Academy, where I do my therapy and coaching with, and my coaches there, Philippa and Bertie, are just phenomenal. The group is phenomenal, and a couple of weeks ago we had our annual retreat, which was lovely. Just spending time with them.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, it was lovely, because it's like some people I've only ever met on Zoom, and you actually know people quite intimately in the sense that because you pour out, it's that's what you do, and it's about sharing how you're feeling and things like that. And you'll resonate with this, that being a healer, right, you're a carer, so in your nursing career and now obviously in your new career as the healer, stereotypically, and therapists are big time for this, is because you're looking after everybody else, you're like, yeah, don't worry about me because I'm too busy helping everybody else. And actually, we're the one that we don't necessarily practice what we preach, right? And
100%.
And that's what my other Rise and Shine group is great for, because it is for therapists and coaches who are fully qualified in their you know, thing, but haven't worked on themselves and don't know how to put themselves out there. And it's about learning it all yourself and embodying it, and then also teaching it to your clients. Now, when I joined there, I was fairly confident already, because where I did my training, I uncovered my limiting beliefs, which was I wasn't good enough, which is pretty much everybody's. I'm not good enough. I felt different. I feel unlovable, really. You know, I didn't belong. And once you uncover and eradicate, because it's all very well known what they are, but we need to eradicate them, then you can change that. And then from that moment, that's when I started my Become Unstoppable journey. And I wasn't holding myself back anymore. So the confidence element, and then I started doing these and doing videos and stuff. And the confident element I was okay with. Don't get me wrong, it's always work in progress, right? But some of them in my group would be go, oh my God, I can't even pick the camera up, you know, and I'm like, that bit is all right. However, the part that I always struggled with and didn't get and didn't do, because of my do mind, my because I don't know if you know about masculine and feminine energy.
A little bit.
Yeah, I know a little bit too, but masculine energy is very much the doing, the action taking, and, you know, and it isn't anything to do with being a man or a woman, by the way. It's like we all need to have both. But the feminine side is more the tapping into your heart, tapping into your intuition, being present, just being. And a lot of us, most of us, mostly probably more masculine than feminine. Unless you're a real like healer, then you're probably very feminine and maybe don't have so much of the doing side. But the idea being that we're all kind of like this, so that you've got that go-getting, doing, but also, no, I take time out for me because I am the most important person. And learning to embed our feelings and emotions, right? So without getting too complicated, like we were saying earlier, our body stores our feelings and emotions, right? So if you're suffering from anxiety, for example, your body physically reacts, doesn't it? It might be, oh, I get heart palpitations, or I feel sick, or something like that. Now, you might be just going out doing something, not in a situation that you particularly feel anxious, but suddenly your body just
Can I
feels.
can I just
Yeah,
add to this?
yeah.
Like this that everything what you just said is so true. Because when I was working in my old job, and I think this was sort of like past the pandemic or near the pandemic, and then I was going to say the funding came through for my asthma diploma, which was marvelous, but it came through quite a few years after I requested it. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe not the best timing, you know, after the pandemic or near the well, actually it was in the pandemic, but anyway, I was suffering from headaches, chronic headaches, heart palpitations, chest pain. You literally feel like it's horrible. It feels horrible. And then as soon as like the pandemic and the stress of the asthma diploma was over, it's amazing. I have my asthma diploma. I've learned a lot, but you know, it was quite a hard time because it was exactly when the ITU shifts were. It was really tough, and it manifested in these physical symptoms. And as soon as I was sort of removed from this sort of environment and the breakup and everything, I felt better. It's like it just sort of, you know, left my body. So all I'm saying is that, you know, I do sincerely believe that our body does hold on to these sort of feelings and traumas and stuff like that. It honestly,
100%.
yeah, I went to the doctors. I was like, what's wrong with me? Oh, it's anxiety. And then it's like not till you're removed out of that situation and you realize, oh my goodness, yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I think what's kind of sad, and I think it's because, and I'm absolutely not knocking doctors or anything here, but it's the science side is kind of over here, isn't it? And then the holistic side is over here.
Yeah.
And occasionally they meet,
Yeah.
but I don't think they meet enough. You know, like if you're going to the doctors with anxiety, chances are they'll give you some pills for it. But actually, and again, I'm not knocking them because it's resources and stuff like that. But actually, most people don't actually need the drugs. They just need to go and find someone who's going to help them uncover the root cause of what's going on for them. Because the tablets are just masking the feelings and emotions, which might be what someone needs at that time. Sometimes they are needed, but but not on their own. It's about really going deep and understanding, because yes, it can be the situation you're in at the time, like clearly yours was. Yours was like the stress and overwhelm of the job. However, what you needed at that time was to understand how to manage your state, how to manage yourself. And what I mean by that is learning to breathe properly, breathing techniques, understanding how to recognize the feelings and emotions that are going on in your head so that you can not get caught up in them and embed them even more into your body, and to actually go and release yourself from them. But in addition to that, you could have trauma, past life trauma, that is actually making the current situation worse. So yes, it can be what's going on now, but it also can be a combination of past trauma and past feelings and emotions that you're storing. And it will manifest into physical or psychological conditions.
I'm so sorry.
You're plugging yourself in, aren't you?
Yeah, I can't really see whether it's actually charging or not, so I might have to move my wire to plug point, but it's fine for now. I'm so sorry. We had trouble before with my iPad, so we tried.
Hi everyone who's joined us. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, so I think how I work with my clients is actually the going deep route to the root of the problem, but also as part of that process is releasing it and getting it out of your body. And I do that in like the deep dive sessions that I do, to really get to the root cause of, say, the anxiety. But I've also done a lot of physical conditions as well, because it's I've done arthritis, I've done cystitis, I've done, I've got someone to walk again. That was quite
Wow.
amazing, yeah. Someone with a funny foot, because she had arthritis in her knees, but she created this, manifested this funny foot. And it's she's on one of my testimonials, actually. So if anyone's interested in going and seeing any of my testimonials, the best, you can see them on here, but the best place to go to is on YouTube, to Millicide Therapy and Coaching. And then you can see the short videos, and a lot of them have been very gracious in doing an interview like this as well, which has been really cool. Yeah, what other physical ones have I done? Yes, I've done arthritis. I've done one, she had a bone sticking out of her arm, and we managed to, it should have just went back in. It's like, oh my God, it just
I find this
blows your
very,
mind,
very
really.
interesting. Very interesting, especially because, you know, obviously given I am a nurse and coming from that Western sort of medical, so it's very interesting. Coming onto it though, it's sort of like, yeah, I know. I mean, the comments are incredible. That's incredible, Julie. I totally agree. I was going to say something. Yeah, so what I was going to say is, like, when I started my crystal business, I did feel a little bit kind of like I might get a bit of backlash, because, you know, there are some people, although it does depend who your target audience is, but there are some people out there that just say, oh, crystals do really work, blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. But you know what? Oh, Michelle's joined. Oh, my crystal healer. Oh, love you, love you. But I was just going to say, where Michelle had done the crystal healing on me, but it definitely does work. I felt so much better. I slept really well that night as well. It's 100%. And, you know, it is quite funny coming up against these objections. But I also just think, you know, it's fair. If you want to learn about it, you can. No one's sort of imposing it on you. But, you know,
no, I think you're right as well, because I wouldn't have been open to this probably as little as 3 or 4 years ago, because it's all a little bit woo-woo, isn't it? And I think you have to kind of be, everybody's individuals, and everyone will come into it or not at different points in their lives. And like when I talk to my 24-year-old son, sometimes he's like, yeah, because he's very scientific. In fact, I need to congratulate him. I found out yesterday he got 2-1 in his masters in his psychology degree, so I'm very proud of him. But like, to your point though, he's very like scientific, and it's like, yeah, but mum, I don't think so. And I'm going, look, it's up to you, darling. You're a lot younger. You might not be ready for it right now. But I certainly wouldn't have been, and I didn't understand it. And there's so much I don't understand, and maybe I need to get your friend Michelle on here at some point as well. But but interestingly though, when some of the therapy work training that I've done, when we do meditations, it was going and trying to find our spirit guides, and I couldn't do it, and I didn't get it. But recently I've been able to, since my Luther died, one of my clients registered a star, and I can tap into my star of Luther, and I can connect to myself a little bit more now, and I'm so chuffed, because I could never do anything like that before. But where I go yoga, I go yoga with a lady called Ellie, sorry. She's one of my clients. She's on the testimonial. She does the most beautiful yoga sessions, and I go to her yoga, and there's a spiritual lady in there, and a little bit after Luther died, she said that he was here telling me that, she said he's touching his back legs. What does that mean? I said, well, he couldn't walk towards the end. And she said to say he's okay. And of course I was like a basket case. And then last week, she messaged me afterwards. I'm going to have a good chat with her this week. She said, when we were doing the meditation, she said there was a spirit going around the room, and she sat next to you. She said, I think she's your spirit guide. And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm going to find out more. So I feel like I wouldn't have been ready and open for this before. Because I'm opening my heart to it now. And I'm opening my heart That's what it's all about, isn't it? I've changed my vibration from a year ago. I mean, I left my corporate job a year ago to be 100% focused on my business.
Yeah.
So my life has completely changed in a good way.
Yeah.
And I've been going on a journey that I didn't even know, obviously, I was going to go on. You know you're going to change, but because I've continued to invest in myself and invested from a business perspective, but also in my own personal development, I'm much better therapist and coach than I ever was. And don't get me wrong, there's always, I want to learn and learn and learn, because every time I'm learning something, and then you almost like get your eureka moment, don't you, when you go, oh, so that's why they said that. That's why that's that. And all of a sudden it just connects.
There's an aha moment, like the light bulb goes off in your brain. You're like, hang on a minute, that's it, all connects, like you just said. It's so true. I mean, you know, I look back on these last 2 years, and I used to think, oh, I could have been married right now, could have been expecting, you know, children and whatever else. But actually, I feel like I have to remember the universe is always working for me. So it's a good thing that I didn't get married there and then, because it obviously wasn't meant to be, you know, which, you know, I can say now is fine. At that moment in time, it literally felt like my world was ending. But, you know, life goes on, and I've done the therapy, and I'm learning about different therapies, and I'm interviewing, you know, you know, professionals that use crystals and in their everyday life. And I find it so fascinating. And I guess, you know, people can get a sense of, well, the right audience, let's say, get a sense of healing from my product.
Yeah, and that's key, isn't it? Is finding your target audience. Which actually, before we forget, do you want to talk about where you are in your business right now, and what it is you've come up with? What you're selling?
Yeah, of course.
Do you happen to have an example with you, by the way?
I happen to have
examples
with me. Happen to be very well prepared. So actually, like I would have mentioned before in this live, I was making wedding table centerpieces, but my dear old friend Sabrina gave me the idea to use healing crystals. So bam! It's a healing crystal bottle lamp. I don't know if you can really see that.
We can see the healer. I see the healer. Hear the for goodness sake, see the crystal.
Inside there is called, the light, kunzonite. It's beautiful, it's pink, and it's huge. And this one is actually a magnet for love and trust. So it's a really good crystal to have around you. Really good for Christmas time, but also good for relationships and marriage. And this is the other thing that I find actually quite funny. I was traumatized by engagement and marriage, and now I am selling wedding table centerpieces and crystal table number cards. And I have a few other ideas for wedding table favors as well. And so that's one part of the business, but the other business are, we do sell them as crystal bottle lamps. I'll put the lights back on because it looks quite nice when you have the lights. So a really nice gift for Christmas, and we do actually get them engraved as well with your own personalized message on it, which is really nice for like Christmas or birthdays, or actually going back to the wedding thing. You know, if the partner doesn't really know what to get the mother-in-law, well, I think you do if they're a bit spiritual and you want your own tailored message.
Oh,
you know,
amazing.
Then, I don't know, your average sort of thing. But it's definitely about meeting the right sort of target audience's needs, but it is a bit different. I'll sort of be looking into delving in the alternative wedding sort of going down that sort of path, because I think crystals are very spiritual, very aligned, so it has to be in keeping with the right sort of audience. But I've done,
you could also look at people who run retreats.
Yes, and if any of you lovely retreat people happen to be watching, you can definitely reach out to me. And yeah, sorry, just to mention, we are selling all the amazing products on my website, which is, if you don't mind me saying, www.crystalshealinglights.com. And we're doing loads of interviews as well with spiritual people that use crystals in their daily life. If you are interested, please let me know. And I'm also writing some storybook ideas as well. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
So you've got a lot coming up in the new year then, so that's amazing.
A lot.
We need to wrap this up now, darling, I'm afraid, as much as I could talk to you all day.
Okay, no worries.
It starts blowing up after a while now because the videos get too big. But thank you so much for coming on. And as Crystal says, you can contact her through Instagram or the website. And what will happen is this video will go up on my YouTube channel as well. I will obviously post the full video in Instagram.
Yeah.
But if you go to Millerside Therapy and Coaching, then go and check me out, subscribe, like, and watch as many videos as you would like. Any business owners on here who feel like they are truly unstoppable and would like to come on here, then you're more welcome to contact me. And anyone who's interested in working with me, if you really want to uncover your root cause of whatever symptoms you're suffering from and free them from your body, then I'm your woman. And I can help you to become unstoppable, potentially in less than 30 days, actually. In one session, we can make fundamental changes, but I like to integrate some coaching in there and teach you some tools and techniques as well to help you embody this new transformational you. So thank you, everyone, for watching. And I look forward to seeing you with my next guest on my Become Unstoppable series. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you're watching it on replay, do message us if you need us. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Right.
Bye.